The presentation of today's racing program is a copyrighted broadcast of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, recreation, or retransmission of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of the New York Racing Association, Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Live Racing at Aqueduct. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps, as we honor America with the national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Live Racing at Aqueduct. The track is good. 77 minutes away from race 1. Here are today's early changes. Race 1, start of the early pick 5 is clear. No changes. Race 2, start of the early pick 4, no changes. Race 3, number 6, Wild Union, make the jockey Trevor McCarthy. Race 4, no changes. Race 5, start of the pick 6, no changes. Race 6, start of the late pick 5, scratch the 1, Downtown Connector. Race 7, start of the late pick 4, scratch the 4, Little Commissioner. Scratch the 6, Boldish. In race 8, rider change on the 5, Air Show. Make it Jacqueline Davis. Race 9 is clear. No changes. Race 10, scratch the 7, Charlotte Webley. Those are today's early changes. The track is good. Coming up next, it'll be Talking Horses with your hosts, Maggie Wolfendale and the Big A, Anthony Stabile.
Hello there. Welcome to Talking Horses. I'm Maggie Wolfendale alongside the Big A, Anthony Stabile. Pleasure to be here with you on this lovely Sunday afternoon.
This lovely spring Sunday afternoon. I got to bring in spring with one of my favorite people. Happy spring, Margaret.
Thank the Pope. It's spring. And it's starting to feel like spring too. It's been lovely weather. We had that weird thunderstorm overnight that made the track good today, but I will say that watching the races yesterday, it seemed as though it was a little bit tough to close.
Yes.
And I think it was the kickback. I don't know why or what happened yesterday, but the horses and the riders were coming back just covered in dirt.
It was funny. The first time starter for Jorge Abreu that propped and bolted in the
She was
last
like, I ain't having any of this.
The first person I saw walking in today was Trevor McCarthy, who's okay.
Yeah.
Knocked the wood, thankfully. And he said basically, you know, that she got hit with a kickback, and it was a different kind of kickback yesterday. So yeah, wonder what it does. I was asleep. I was telling Maggie the story. I was asleep about 9:15 last night because I'm old.
Dude, 8:30.
And yeah, but you have two kids. I have no excuse. I was on my way to a cigar, and anyway, so that rain woke me up.
Yep.
I thought it was the wind. I didn't know what was going on, and right outside my window, I thought somebody was trying to.
I know.
Yeah, it was
BB
wild.
gunning
It was
you?
wild.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, watch out.
Right, it was a
Nightmares after
drive-by. We didn't hit any of the tickets we posted yesterday. I figured somebody was coming for revenge.
You do live in Howard Beach,
I
so.
did. Well, yeah, well, I'm safe. And anyway, I mean, the weather, the track yesterday, it did seem like you wanted to be on or close to the lead, but we'll see what happens now. We start the day labeled good. There's a little bit of a breeze outside. It's nice and it's a beautiful spring.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, all kidding aside, it's a beautiful spring day. It's nice and cool in here. I have to put the heat on because somebody else isn't sitting in that chair. So,
I like it cold. I'm cold-hearted.
Yeah,
No.
we're cold. We're not cold-hearted. We're cold-blooded animals in here today. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the track plays today.
I may, smartly or foolishly, kind of tailored my selections with that thought in mind.
Yeah,
At least when it
I
looked
did too,
like there was a
little
clear-cut speed. Anyway, I think I always do that.
Me too.
But if you want to play today's races, make sure you do so with a Naira Bets account. As always, we are offering new members that $200 deposit match bonus. Use promo code STAKES200.
What's Luis Saez pointing to? This is the game ending I play every day. All right.
I'm going to go with, you know whose silks those are?
I don't.
Brad Grady, Joe Sharp.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we love Louis. Can't wait to have Louis back in New York.
Soon.
Also, you were in a little Santa Anita action yesterday.
We had the
you had a
first-
try when I was
Yes,
with
we had
you.
to try to. We watched the race together
Yeah.
in your office. Yeah, this is a fun promotion. 20% exacta bonus. So head over to NairaBets.com. Just played a great race place today. He and my main man, Frank Miramati. Opt in. Actually put up a long shot blog over at NairaBets.com involving two of these races. We also have the Cali Race of the Week, which is the Sensational Stars. Sensational Star is one of the two long shot plays of the weekend, and they both involve that exacta bonus. So head to NairaBets.com, opt into this promotion, and take advantage. We put up a couple of plays for this promotion as well.
fun. Horse in that picture wearing goggles.
Yeah.
Anyway,
a beautiful
also it's
picture.
never too early to get involved with the Belmont Stakes, and tickets are on sale now. Check out belmontstakes.com to purchase your tickets. It's going to be a little bit of a different experience today, or this year, capping attendance as we have, but kind of enhanced hospitality.
Oh, it's going to be a different experience today, too, with you sitting in that chair.
Okay. And two, speaking of sitting in a chair, you're going to be sitting upstairs on America's Day at the races on FS2. We kick off the action at 3 o'clock and run till 6:30. Obviously covering the last six here at, yes, the last six here at Aqueduct, as well as racing from Oaklawn. If you haven't
Seven at
noticed,
Oaklawn, I believe, right?
7 at Oaklawn. I haven't noticed, I still haven't quite recovered from Cheltenham. But
Me, you, Greg, and I believe Gary is down at Oaklawn.
yes.
We'll be
Yep.
the whole
Tear it
shebang
up.
today.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to it.
But let's jump into things. Some
Okay.
good maiden special weights today. Really interesting races. And this card not really affected, yeah, a top choice and a second choice scratched out of the 6th and 7th races, but we're here. and looking forward to these nice fields of horses. And Chad Brown does have a pretty firm hold, I would say, on this first race, going a mile for the older maidens, and he'll be bringing one back, Higher Quality. We'll get to him in a second, but Rational Choice installed at 3 to 5 on the morning line. You know, it was a dead rail, I'd say, on February 6th, but he was kept outside, and he was just no match for Mandatory, who in his own right is a talented horse. But I don't know, Anthony. Yes, he's pairing races up finally back to back. I was a little disappointed as he was the 4 to 5 favorite.
He was underwhelming, to say the least, I think. And, you know, Mandatory, he's okay. He also had an awful lot of chances, Maggie. And Rational Choice hasn't reached the Mandatory level yet, but his chances are starting to pile up as well. You see the year plus layoff on the card.
But you picked him.
I did. You know, it was hard for me to pull the trigger on the other Chad Brown runner who hasn't run in 13 plus months. That's the #1 Higher Quality, who you did put on top. Fresh Gelding coming back for Chad. Boy, I got to tell you, if one of these two don't win the opener, if Chad Brown, if his assistant Dan doesn't get his picture taken in the opener, you can knock me over with a sneeze.
Yeah, I won't be asking Dan's opinion as I did yesterday for the stake, and Exaltrus didn't run that well, which was one of the only Chad Brown horses who haven't run well this meet. But I did go with Higher Quality. Chad Brown has great numbers, 9 to 18 month layoff in dirt routes. He's 12 for 32. And for Chad Brown ROI, that's a positive one. This horse beaten by Promise Keeper, who had experience over Higher Quality when they met. And Higher Quality, he kind of was acting up a little bit antsy in the gate, slightly reared and then bumped coming out, which put him way behind the gate to wire winner in the talented graded stakes winning Promise Keeper. And then he was on the wide circling the field chase the whole way around there. And I thought, although beaten 7 1/4 lengths, ran maybe a bit better than that first race would suggest. Now, he was owned by Juddmonte that day. And maybe it's as a negative, he was bought at the Keeneland November breeding stock sale last year for $90,000. But I thought it was promising that Louis Lazzanero, Mike Dubb, and etc. Picked this horse up, and Chad Brown said, I'll keep him.
Yeah, no question about it. Those are, you know, Louis, of course, a good friend, Mike. These are people Chad already trains for.
Right.
So the fact that he did keep the horse, yes. But I do think it's a great sign, in fact. And yeah, I mean, if Rational Choice and his little bit of recency doesn't help carry the day, I would imagine Higher Quality will get the job done.
First time starter you used. I was like, is that frozen up there? Nothing to see here on the outside for Bill Mott, a son of Verrazano. This is a 3-year-old facing some older rivals. Now, there's one other 3-year-old and right on the ice who just seems kind of like a plodding type. And if we have the same track as yesterday, I don't know about his chances. Nothing to see here. Debuts, going a mile. He's had some kind of in and outs as far as his work tab's concerned. The bottom side of the pedigree says turf.
I would imagine this is a jumping off point.
Yeah.
I think it's a good sign that this horse is going a mile first out, for the simple fact that he probably has a high level of fitness at this point. Now, this horse has been here with Leanna Williford all winter at Belmont Park, so training over the training track. I would imagine this horse is going to be fit enough to handle a mile. Quite frankly, Maggie, I didn't want anything to do with the 3 or the 5. American Law, I guess, could get a piece of this. But
I think with Kendrick Carmouche aboard, you know, he needs to be aggressively handled.
Yeah.
He did have a little bit of a stumble at the start last time. Now, he was never, and Trevor was trying with him the whole way last time, and he never made an impact. But hoping for a better break, and if this guy's closer to the lead, I think he has a chance here, but it's all about the break.
Yeah, it's all about the break.
All right, moving on. Race number 2. This one also a maiden special weight, but for the New York bred fillies as we go the 6 furlongs. And I took a little bit of a shot in here with the 1. You put number 7, Carbon, on top. I had a long look at her, but my problem with her was that her last 2 efforts, she was entered as an MTO. So I feel like whenever you enter a horse as an MTO in a maiden special weight, you're seeking softer company.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. With that said, I do believe some of these races this winter were akin to off the turf races.
Okay,
And
sure.
I certainly feel like this is this is the kind of race where I might be foolish by taking a horse that's short on the line. She's the second choice at 3-1. But, when you look at some of the fillies she's facing in here, the filly you put on top, who can obviously win this race.
She's had her chances. I get it.
She's had her chances, and she's been a big price in these races, right? Jimmy Ryerson debuted the 2 for the tag. I don't know what happened with Twist Just Right last time with the addition of blinkers and the Lasix. You and I have the horse there. You don't have the horse anywhere. Obviously, she is not going. This is not the toughest bunch of special weight competition she is going to face. So this is like, I would think the quality of this field would almost be like an off the turf kind of race. And I thought she was just, I think she scratched once, and I think we canceled once, maybe twice, when she's been entered already this winter. So, you see a light work tab there. There's only 4 works since January 5th. That frightens me a little bit. And I guess I could have went to Royal Currency with the blinkers on. I would imagine is going to be forward with Twist Just Right in here. This horse was forward last time.
And Bundy Windermere.
Yeah, and Bundy Windermere.
Who I do want to point out, none of us, or either of us really like her, but she was beaten by Trinity Titoli, who was a short price yesterday, who didn't know running.
And we started the show talking about how you wanted speed. She got clear.
Yeah, and
was
still
nowhere to
unrunning.
be found. So yeah, I landed on Carbon in here, but it's a reluctant top pick, to say the least.
Royal Currency, she was battling in between. It was a dead rail on February 5th. She was battling in between on a pace that did come apart, where the winner rallied from further back. But like you said, I just feel like she's going to have company up front. And the reason why I went to Darn That Song is I felt as though she was tactical enough to stay close to the pace. And who knows, it might not develop. But I feel as though with the blinkers on, I might focus her in more. And how about Kisses for Emily in her next start? She came back at Parks and won a $100,000 stake with a 73 buyer. So, this horse was right behind her, finishing with her.
So this filly can absolutely win. And of the fillies who I think can win, she's going to be clearly the best price. So if you think it's going to be chalky in the first, like I do, I think Chad Brown's going to win the first. This is the kind of horse you'd like to get in the early pick 5, or if you decide you don't want to tackle the Chad Brown 2-headed monster in the opener, starting the early pick 4 with a horse like this is also some good value.
Race number 3, 3 for 14, 6 furlongs, and
talk about a reluctant pick.
I had to leave this race alone and then come back to it.
I did the same thing.
I kind of wanted to see what the track was like. There's horses in here who I think prefer a wet track. Some of them hate it, but
it's funny with when the weather is different, right? When you don't know what the forecast is, we were supposed to get rain on the Friday to Saturday overnight. It didn't really develop, right? Then that storm last night. We were fast here yesterday. That storm last night that lasted about 7 minutes.
Yeah, it did.
Was enough to make this track good today.
I know, and we're lucky that they had a seal on it. And the training track at Belmont was good as well. And a lot of times they can be similar if the weather comes afterwards. So when the track was good today at Belmont, I knew.
You feel like you know what you're coming over to.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. So what I'll do is, right, contrary to popular belief, I will look at the entries on my laptop, and then I'll just make my notes the day before, and then I'll put my picks up. So yesterday when I was finishing the notes, I was doing it upstairs in the Horseman's Lounge, and there was a gap between the second and fourth race because I didn't want to look at it again. There's not a lot of positive form.
There isn't.
Right.
The positive form comes from the 6, but you're dealing with a long layoff for, no offense, for a trainer that does not have great numbers first off the claim, as we'll check out the stat now. Over the past 5 years, Chad Summers, first off the claim, is only 2 for 21. And where the heck has this horse been? And furthermore, he's coming back at 6 furlongs where he's had absolutely no success.
Right. And Chad Summers' numbers aside, I don't want horses taken from Peter Miller.
Nope. It seemed as though he brought a handful of horses here to get rid of and to maybe pick some up, and then he was out the door.
No question about it. And now he is not training horses for whatever reason. He's not training horses right now. So I don't want horses, and again, this is not a knock on Chad. I don't want horses taken from this guy by anyone. Really.
I could not agree more.
Especially that have been gone more than 8 months. And see, a lot of people will be turned off, I think, by the cutback. This is actually a smart move by Chad. Finding a spot like this to get this filly, to get this gelding rather, a race off of the break. I think the sprint is a smart move. And boy, if you're going to pick a place to come back, you couldn't have handpicked 7 or 6 rivals to find a spot. So I think this horse can win. Do I want this horse as the second choice?
But my problem is that he's better when he's up close. He's not seeing anything near to the lead today, unless he's this really fresh.
Yeah, Rachmaninoff is light years faster than him early on. He's never gone 3/4. He went 3/4 one time in his life, I should say. And that was a similar kind of move from a June to February layoff. He didn't do a lot of running. With that said, he ran against much, much better than he's facing today down at Oakland Park. And he's also a rider change. Trevor McCarthy is going to ride Wild Union today. Yep. It's not Kendrick Carmouche.
Now, I went to Rachmaninoff because, as I said, I left this alone after watching yesterday's races. I was just figuring that he was the lone speed in here, but boy, he was terrible. He was battling on the outside on February 3rd, not a day to be on the rail. And I mean, he just had nothing. Yes, the winner came from way outside and kind of blew away the field, but he just didn't. He just stopped. But I don't think, unless somebody goes on a crazy mission, maybe Macho Boy. I just think
they've been making it their business
faster.
though to take Macho Boy kind of off the pace though.
Yeah,
you know,
we'll see.
not being as fast as it used to be, but we'll see with Jackie Davis climbing back aboard. See if they change tactics again. I thought True Believe, who I did not like at all last time, I thought True Believe ran well enough last time in the slop. I think it was a good sign.
He was not on the best part of the racetrack, I don't think.
There were 2 things about his race last time, one good, one bad. The good was he ran really well on a sloppy track, and a horse coming back off of 2 voided claims off 10 months. You would have imagined Antonio Arriaga would have scratched this horse. Instead, he let him run, and he actually ran really well.
He actually kind of prefers the wet track.
Yeah,
if you look at his form.
If he run, he does, but just when you imagine with the 2 voided claims coming off a major injury, you would imagine he would have came out. Instead, he ran really well enough that he duplicates that effort. He's going to be really tough today. The problem I had last time was he was not entered for the waiver when he was eligible for it. So he's on the shelf 10 months. You could have.
I think after 2 voided claims and the layoff, I think, I don't think anybody's going to claim him.
They claim a lot of horses around here.
They do. They do.
They claim a lot of horses around here, and I think that was a negative sign. You know, if you have a free shot at not getting claimed, why not take it? They didn't. But I couldn't pick Rachmaninoff off his last race. I didn't like Wild Union off the break. I mean, I guess Iron Giant's the other horse, or if you think Macho Boy can inherit Rachmaninoff at some point and hold on, I picked True Belief.
Race number 4, Non-2 Life for 25, 7 furlongs. And yes, there's an intriguing horse in here with number 3, Tough Tickets, but neither you and I thought he was that appealing, coming off of the 13-month plus layoff. And yes, he switches to the ever dangerous, and with the utmost respect to Todd Pletcher, he was being taken from Christophe Clement, and he found a niche spot at Tampa to win first time out in a woeful field.
Woeful is being kind to woeful, is being mean to woeful fields. He then comes back. The first work on the tab is January 14th, and there's a month between works again.
Yeah.
Now he's hit the tab pretty regularly for the last 5 weeks. He can win. He can absolutely win the race.
Yeah, you're not going to be surprised, but he's likely to be a short price, and why would you want to?
I don't.
You know, I went with Jerusalem Gates. Jeffrey Englehart has been having a great Aqueduct meeting, and we've seen him a lot more active in the claim box. Now, for the past 5 years, first off the claim at Aqueduct, which is usually when he runs the most horses, he's 7 for 23, and this meet alone, he's 5 for 9. And yes, Jerusalem Gates has been the beaten favorite in his last 2 starts. Tom, please stop texting me. Jeez. You know, I just thought that last time out, he moved a bit early, and I get why Kendrick did it. Because he knew that Corkman was coming on his outside, and that he wanted to make sure he got to the spot first.
Yeah.
But it kind of backfired, and he just used him too much. I don't think Jerusalem Gates is necessarily the bravest horse in the world, but just with Jeffrey Englehart's barn going so well, I thought this guy certainly deserved a look.
Yeah.
And the 7 furlongs, I don't mind. Getting back to that.
Yeah, I thought, and this is mostly a Wayne Potts play.
I mean, every play that Wayne you're in,
Quick-
I don't blame you.
I have to tell you, Quick Flesh is a horse that I have not been a fan of
Neither
throughout
have
his
I.
career. The one thing I was pretty confident in is he did not want a mile last time.
No, I agree with you there.
and I
7
think
furlongs
that-
is best.
Yeah.
Or 6.
Right. I think the cutback's going to help. I think the way the barn's going is going to help. And you have enough speed in here with Breaking Stones from the Rail, with Charger, with Exalted Charm. Let's see how fresh Tough Tickets wasn't far from a real fast pace. Forget about the quality of the field, but he wasn't far from a real fast pace. He's coming back off a year plus. You'd imagine he's going to be a little bit fresh. I think this race can kind of fall into Quick Flash's lap from just off the pace, so I put him on top. I like him in Charger. Charger's first off the claim for Rob Falcone. I do not like the fact that they had to cut this horse in half off the claim, and he did not do much running after the half-mile pole last time out.
Yeah, I mean, he was bad. He should have been a little bit better than what he was. We'll see Full Moon Fever a little bit later on in the card, as well as Good Culture, and obviously that was a better field than what he faces here today. He was down on the rail on that sloppy track, and and he took pressure the whole way, but he does feel as though he's a horse that is best when he can be up front, and I don't know if getting back to 7 that's going to be the case.
It might not. It might not. And like I said, the other horse in the race that I like is the horse that's cutting in half. Jerusalem Gates, you make a lot of great points. Jeff Englehart's barn's going really well, also off the claim. I guess the plan here is to try to maneuver around Tough Tickets and to try to make some pick 4s and pick 5s and try and get him beat, especially if you're like me and you think it's going to be a little chalky earlier in the card. Try and get a horse like him out of there and try and get a horse like Jerusalem Gates or Quick Flash home.
All right, 4 down, 6 to go, which means the pick 6 starts in race number 5, and that usually means we take a break, no?
Well, we've been doing pick 5 to pick 5. We could, let's take. You know what? Let Maggie put her little. Let's take the break now, guys.
All right, we'll be right back.
Who you betting on? How about an app? Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions, and offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back, Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfno, Anthony Stabile, as we do kick off the pick 6 with one of 2 maiden special weights going the 7 furlongs for the 3-year-olds. And once again, we see Chad Brown well represented. 9-5 morning line favorite is Efficiency, a son of the very precocious sire, Gun Runner, who's just gotten off to a great start as a sire. The Dam, though, she was 1 for 22.
Yes, she was not much.
Not great.
If I'm not mistaken, the Dam was Kelly Breen.
Yeah, she won early, and then after that, she didn't show up much. And she kind of ran the same race on any surface that they put her on. This is her first.
Speedy filly, right?
No, she went longer, I think.
But she was.
Oh yeah, she liked to be up front.
She was a front
yeah.
type.
The second Dam, though, she was good on the turf, and the Dam have to a multiple greatest stakes winner going long on the turf named Pianist.
Okay. Yeah, this filly's this gelding's a half to Conviction Trade, who's done some good work on the turf. Also a half to Equal Pay. That was the horse that was going to win her debut, and then cross-fired and dropped Gerard Ortiz Jr. You remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah?
No, not that horse. House Street is a have to.
House Street, yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
But efficiency, I found a kind of, now maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but it was a big enough sample size that I decided to send it in. And Chad Brown,
Wow.
first time starters going 7 furlongs on the dirt, not the greatest, because it's kind of a weird and tough distance to win at first time out.
It is. It is. I heard this horse could run.
Okay, and he has been
So-
working with the older, higher quality, so maybe you can see how he runs, who I did pick. I just decided to go with House Street for Jorge Abreu. As you mentioned, is that half to conviction trade, but also the half to equal pay, who did come back a little bit off the layoff about 10 days ago and won with an 85 buyer,
Those are great numbers.
right?
Those are great numbers.
Good
That
picture at
ROI,
TT
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, those are great numbers. And I mean, he's the other horse.
He's been working with Venti Valentine as well. She probably getting the better of him, but some of his other breezes that I've watched, I do like what I see. He looks like a horse that could be aggressive and should show speed.
Yeah, I think the firsts have a pretty decided edge in here. I don't really.
Yeah. How
care
can you
for
trust
anybody.
anybody else? I
No.
mean, Rumjar and Cathedral Beach have one figure in their multitude of races that makes them a player, but I mean, how can you say for sure they could get back to that?
Can't. And Rumjar's figure came on a sloppy track. It was 14 points better than anything he's done. Now there's a little moisture in this track, but by
Not the
the time the fifth race rolls around, A, it's not the same, and B, it might all be gone by then.
Yeah.
Or at least a good portion of it.
Now, Blinker's going on to Cathedral Beach. He had speed going 6, and then it was nowhere to be found going a mile last time, in which that pace held together.
Blinkers were on for his first 2 starts. They took them off last time. They quickly put them back on, realizing that experiment last time did not work. But yeah, he'd have to come back to that debut again on a sloppy track, and would have to hope that one of the 2 firsters. There's another first one here. Sugar Gray Leonard on the outside of Son of McLean's Music for Brittany Russell, who the barn doesn't do as well on this circuit. She wins plenty of races, but there's a barn that hits a 25% outside of Naira. This horse is working well at Laurel, coming up here for the debut.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
When I see Brittany's work tabs at Laurel tend to be faster than
Faster
this
than
horse's.
this? Okay.
And 2, the only thing going for him is that he's the son of McLean's Music. There is not much on the
No,
bottom.
there's not much pedigree on the bottom. There's not much. Dan was 6 for 32. She has not produced much. But
Now, he's been consistent in his work tab, fine.
Yeah.
But I usually see our horses work a bit quicker than
Okay.
with that horse.
go on the 7/8. That doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, he could want more than that too.
Yeah.
Race 6, Defection of Downtown Connector in here. So that leaves us with a field of 6. Again, tough to beat Chad Brown. This one with experience on the outside, Awesome Aaron, who we will check out his race last time. And this was the one going the mile and an eighth, which he ran really well.
He ran really well. You see him
So you gotta
here.
love the 7/8 turn back.
Normally we pick up the replays off the turn. I wanted to show this move he made on the turn.
Yep.
Where he's 3 wide into the pace. He's going to clear off here. He's going to get run down by a Bill Mott maiden named South Street, who was
Who was
making his
way
East Coast
last
debut.
early.
Yeah, making his East Coast debut off a series of races out in California. He was far back early, came with a big late rally. This is a son of Practical Joke, who we all know Practical Joke was sensational around 1 turn.
Yep.
2 turns was a bit of kryptonite for him. But this horse, this son of Practical Joke, still runs really, really well here. And you got to think, Maggie, off this race, this was his second start, a stretch out from 6 to 9. You have to think, cutting back now to 7, he's going to be ultra tough to beat here. I mean, if you're playing the pick 6, the only other horse I could imagine you'd want to use in here is Check That Chip. But even Check That Chip, assuming, he's taken money in both of his starts. He was 5-1 in both of his starts. He didn't have a great trip first time out. He came back. He ran okay second time out. He was never winning that race second time out.
I thought he was really with the track.
Yeah.
And our shot was 16-1 that day, coming out of the same race as he was, and he finished in front of that runner that day, I think.
Yeah.
necessarily quote me on that. And he was a horse I loved in the paddock, and I said that to Gustavo Rodriguez, and he's like, do you think? He said to me, he is still very much learning, and that he took forever again to switch his leads. Now maybe he puts it all together this time around, and he will likely get a much more upgraded track than what he's been on.
Yes.
But I just thought he was a little bit untrustworthy, and Awesome Aaron just ran too good last time not to take in here. The long shot I wanted to play around with, you did too, Union Lights, coming back as a new gelding, and you can see a marked improvement with this horse's works since then.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I put this horse third. I couldn't agree with you more. The work tab, it's like night and day almost. So we'll see if he can. He's going to have to overcome Awesome Aaron's last race and check that chip. Not taking another step forward. He took a big enough step forward from start 1 to start 2 where if he takes another one forward, he could be right there. But I think Awesome Aaron, if you put a gun to my head and asked me for a single on the card, it would be Awesome Aaron.
Interesting pedigree with the 3, Gun Runner, who they only paid $2,000 for.
Yeah.
But is a half to Sunset Ridge, who was a New York bred stakes winner for Chad Brown, who ran a 99 buyer on the dirt.
Yes. So it's an interesting race. Yeah.
Race 7. It's the only race we agreed on as far as top selections, I think.
Well, we agreed last race.
Oh yeah. Well, that was kind of like
we're gonna roll a couple of 7s now.
Yeah, I'm my top pick scratched.
Me
is
too.
what.
My top exacta scratch.
Little Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, I wish he was in here because he projected to sit the right trip. Seems to be a good enough amount of speed in here, and he was just going to sit right off of them. And boy, does he get some class relief. So we both scratch into Little Menace, who I think was against the track last time. I do think 7/8 is a little bit more preferable than the mile that he gets here today. But at least he's outside. You know that it's all relevant. Is a likely pace setter in here.
He's not the speed in here.
He's not the speed.
I think that's important.
But at least he's outside this time.
I think that's important, and he's probably not the second speed. Pioneer Spirit's pretty fast as well. So
and he's inside, so
and
he has
he's inside
to go.
of him. I would imagine he's going to get the right trip in here. And again, this is a horse that was originally my 3rd selection in here, so keep that in mind. But the way the race looks to unfold now, it's almost like with the other actress runner who we both like, Little Commissioner, coming out. This horse is going to sit a pretty similar trip now.
And I mean,
and
who knows?
with a better draw.
Look, plenty of horses have been sick over this winter. I know from firsthand experience. But does it breathe a little bit of confidence into Little Menace, who does get a bit of class relief too, as we will see Chestertown, a couple races from this one in the Haynesfield. But I mean, I think it is promising that Rob chooses to keep him in.
I don't disagree.
All right.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
No, race number 8, starter allowance going a mile. And this was kind of a grab bag race. There were plenty of horses in here that I thought could be effective. I decided to go somewhat reluctantly with Cousteau because I just thought he could control in here. He's been the beaten favorite in what, 5 of his 6 races. Yeah. He always takes money. But he's going to have to clear from the outside. He is the fastest horse in here. And while I was disappointed in him, I just took him purely from a tactical position where I wanted to take Group Hug because I think he might be the class of the field and he's probably the most consistent. But his lack of early speed bothers me.
Yeah, he's just, and it's funny because he's only 4, but it feels like every time he gets led over here, he becomes more and more one-paced. Right? Like, he never really had any speed.
He did make up some ground.
He did.
And it was never in a comfortable position last time.
No, he wasn't.
But he just seems to find himself in those uncomfortable positions.
Because he does not have any speed. So he's never going to find. He's never going to find a trip. What he's going to need, and I don't see it in here, he's going to need a suicide pace on the front end, get ripped to the center of the track, and just start picking horses up one day. I don't see that happening in here. He can win if things go perfectly for him. I had a hard time with this race.
Now, you put Full Moon Fever. It's a story of, do you believe the last race, or is he going to turn back into a pumpkin? While he was with the track on February 13th, he never looked like a loser.
No. He looked ready to roll.
That was first off the claim from Mark Hennig, who doesn't claim any horses, but he's had a lot of success with it.
And this is a horse who, in the past, did not really perform on wet tracks. and then he comes and runs the figure of his life, I think that's an excellent sign. An excellent sign that, you know, maybe it was just Mark taking over. So I went back to him hoping he sits just off Cousteau. Cousteau's supposed to go and clear, and I would imagine that Dylan's going to be forward with him again. He wasn't too far from the pace last time. Just consider a good trip off of Cousteau. I want to use him. He beat Good Culture last time in the 2 Life. They're running Good Culture in the starter now. When they could have found the 2 Life for him. I think that's a good sign. I think Good Culture was also his last 2 starts. Well, really all 3 of his starts off the claim for Gustavo have been pretty good. They're all second place finishes. But I think the mile, which he's running again today, is really what he wants to do. And I thought maybe, and he might be another one, Maggie, that just doesn't have any speed. I'd like to see if Jose Lezcano can get him a little bit into contention today.
Yeah, I mean,
Get him a little closer.
He's never been there before. But I see what you're saying as far as, you know, he's had a little bit of trouble. He was against the track last time. He had trouble 2 starts back. You know, it was December race.
The track 2 starts back, too. Purple Heart just took advantage of that speed bias, went to the top, and that was the end of it.
Exactly. So I get him. Now, a horse that is the tepid morning line favorite in here, Royal Number, you are totally against.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was supposed to like about this horse, to be honest with you. I mean, the race last time against Peruvian Boy, he kind of had that race won.
I will say that. He was outgained by a proven hanger in Peruvian Boy.
That was a big problem for me.
He was, I feel like Andy, he was down on the rail, not the place to be. And, you know, he was kind of fighting Trevor a little bit early on, so expending a little bit of energy before he found a seam and kicked on. Yes, Peruvian Boy was part of that early pace, and it was a slow pace. I think, you know, things worked out more favorably for Peruvian Boy, but I don't like the fact that he couldn't pass him.
Couldn't pass him.
You know, but he ran a fast enough figure here, at least last time, and he does have some go-back races to be a contender.
Okay. I just didn't want him as the favorite.
I have him 3rd, so I'm on the same page. Race number 9, it is our feature, the $100,000 Haynesfield, and we do see a rivalry. I never get that word out perfectly. Setting up again between My Boy Tate and Lobster. Lobster, though, opted to skip the 6 furlong, obviously, Holly Hughes, and he's 2-1 on the morning line, and Gary Zak has cited that he seems to relish getting some time between races, and that his form would back that up. And 2, he found that putting glue on shoes with this guy has really helped him, and I can attest to that. It will literally, you know, add 10 points to a horse.
Absolutely.
If they're dealing with foot problems.
Horse with bad feet. I mean, it all starts in the feet, right?
Yep.
Starts
no
down
foot,
here and
no
it goes
horse.
up. That's how it works. No foot, no horse. That's how the adage goes. But yeah, Gary has done a fantastic job. Javier Castellano comes up to retain the mount. He's perfect 2 for 2 on him by way of the DQ last time. Speaking of the DQ, here is the Save Florida Sandy from last time out.
Now, My Boy Tate arguably ran the better race. Right?
No question about it.
You would agree with that.
No question about it.
But
I even think Chestertown probably ran a better race here because Chestertown, you'll see him, he's the gray coming up the inside, maybe moving a little too soon here, Maggie. And
well, I think he's trying to make sure My Boy Tate can't get an easy spot.
Yeah, and what that does is that puts him in the jackpot of all jackpots. You're going to see he's going to take the brunt of this. It's not going to happen yet. It's going to happen right now, and it's easy to see that gray. He's going to get ping-ponged off the rail once. There it is. And
that eliminates Chestertown completely. I will say, I don't think it was that much of a warranted DQ. And maybe, it got tight because the 5 was the one who leaned over on everyone.
Yes.
So therefore, leaned over on the 1, who therefore leaned over on My Boy Tate, and Chestertown, taking the worst of it at the end of the day because he was the one most inside.
Yeah. So we'll see how it unfolds. Like you said, Lobster skips the Holly Hughes going a little shorter. And I think if you're looking at exclusively at the rivalry, I know we got to get moving here. They're the 2.
It's okay. I don't really want to talk about the last race.
Me either.
Okay.
Lobster has the edge at the mile. I know my boy Tate has one going a mile, but my boy Tate's playing Lobster's game today.
Right, but what's odd is still going a mile, I think Lobster's faster than my boy Tate.
I do
Because
too.
you would think that stretching out, and he's primarily a sprinter, he'd be close, but he wasn't close in any of those mile races. Look, I respect my boy Tate. I've just never been his biggest fan at the end of the
Me
day.
either.
You went to maybe the up-and-comer, and that's Water's Edge. I just don't think his life gets easy today with the presence of Lobster down on the inside and no salt and hush of a storm.
Jorge Vargas is going to have to let Lobster clear over. No question about that. And have to let him go. Going the mile out of the chute, that's not an issue. It's not an issue for me anyway.
I hear you. Long way to run the straight.
And let's just say, for argument's sake, Lobster decides and Javier Castellano decide not to go. I think this horse is talented enough where if you leave him on the front end by himself, I think he's ready to get himself involved in a little bit of a shoving match with these two more experienced stakes runners in here. I do. I've always been a fan of
love
this
him
horse.
as
I've
an
always
individual.
been a fan of this horse.
Love him as an individual. I just don't know if this is the right race for him today. But what else are you going to do? He's run through his New York bred conditions. So.
Right. That's one. Number two, from my seat, I'm going to get a price on him that I wouldn't get in an allowance race today because
Sure.
he's and listen, he's handling some season. My boy Tate's a stakes winner. Lobster's a stakes winner. Last Buck's a stakes winner. Chestertown's a stakes winner. He's making his stakes debut today, along with Brewpub, the two inside runners. So, but I'm gonna get the right price.
Chestertown won the Albany.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the right price.
I think he could be, because he's
Me too.
shown, with cutting him back in recent months, he's shown a little bit more, tractability. So I think, he might be effective getting back out around this racetrack. So
I agree.
Race number 10, 25 non-3 life, 6 furlongs for the fillies and mares. You went with number 8, Left-Leaning Lucy. I mean, you're hoping for a donk late double.
My
Just
man
really
Dave
quick,
Donk.
why?
I did not trust our working girl.
No, you can't. She seems to throw in the towel, but she does control here, you would think, comfortably.
She does. I guess High School Crush can win. I don't know if I want her cutting back from the mile to 6.
You don't even have my horse involved here, which I can see why.
The infamous 5th pick.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
who else are you gonna pick?
Yeah.
I will say, Big Q in a much tougher field last time ran off in the post parade. So she was just losing it before the race, and so I think she ran a race before, and she was tough to handle, while running there. She gets Dylan Davis, a journeyman
Listen.
rider, over the 5. Andy's done a great job, Andy Hernandez, and she drops back into a level. She doesn't love to win, but I just thought she had a big enough excuse last time, and she looks to be sitting right off our working girl.
Yeah, she'll be the 5th horse on the pick 5 ticket. The way I'll play the pick 5 is I'll single Chad in the 6th race.
Yep.
Use a couple in the 7th, a couple in the 8th, a few in the 7th, a few in the 8th. I'm going to leave out Lobster and my boy Tate today. And
That's dangerous.
I'm just going to use, because I got to try and find, I got to cut it down somewhere and then hope for Canasta in the last.
You've done well with your pick 6 tickets.
We're trying. Pick 5.
That's
I'm going
it.
to make a pick 5.
Pick
for the
5.
Pick 6. I'm going to stay from pick 6. Pick 5.
pick
I'll
5
lay
of
pick
it.
5 for sure.
All right, well, that'll do it for this edition of Talking Horses. As always, make sure you use your Naira Bets account. If you're not a member, become a member today. Promo code STAKES200. Visit NairaBets.com, and then you can play the exacta bonus, 20% exacta bonus. Make sure you opt in at NairaBets.com at Santa Anita. Looking forward to hearing Frank Miramati on the mic as we have Chris Griffin calling today. And Belmont Stakes tickets, hopefully it's just going to be the best ever. Now, last year was fantastic too, with Essential Quality getting the win, the dual champion. And if you want to catch the action today, make sure you do so. Watch America's Day at the Races on FS2 from 3 to 6:30. You will catch Anthony and I, as well as Greg Wolf and Gary Stevens. Thanks for joining us here on Talking Horses. As I mentioned, Chris Griffin will be up next with a reprise of those scratches and changes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Live Racing at Aqueduct. The track is now rated as fast. Here are today's scratches and changes. Race 1 started the early pick 5. Is clear, no changes. Race 2 started the early pick 4. Is clear, no changes. Race 3, rider change on the 6, Wild Union, make it Trevor McCarthy.